Where's my sister? Sister, where are you? Come up from behind the counter over there at McBride's Organic Farm. I'm calling you. She wanted to come over when she knew I was speaking, but I think she's here anyway. She's out there somewhere. Wait. Where? All right. Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be with you here today. I'm no stranger to rural living, as I grew up in northern Quebec, not even in a farm, in the backwoods, without running water or electricity. And then Graham Gibson and I lived for 10 years on a farm we ran in Mulmer Township in the 1970s. Come to think of it, we often had no running water or electricity there either. Plus, someone ate my cows, and I had to go to court about it. This is strange but true. You probably didn't know I had the cows. Not to mention the sheep, the horses, the hens, the ducks, the geese, the dogs, the cats, and the peacocks. Right now, we spend a lot of time in Oro Township, where my parents had a place beginning in the 1950s. I used to do the family laundry as a 14-year-old, up to my knees in the Coldwater River near Moonstone. It was cold water, all right, but it's okay. I used sunlight soap. It was biodegradable. My father spent some of his time blowing up beaver dams with dynamite, which was exciting, as he didn't always get the charges exactly right, but such activities are most likely illegal now. That was before the Horseshoe Valley Road went in. There have been a lot of changes since that time. There's good change, and there's bad change, and then there's idiotic change. Idiotic change is when you just can't figure out why anyone would do that. I'm here today as part of a larger common sense effort to stop a piece of idiotic change. A potentially disastrous development proposal here in the village of Midhurst. Several years ago, I had a spirited exchange with the Toronto Sun newspaper, which resulted in my saying that I would vote for a turnip if it was able to deliver transparency, fairness, and honesty. This was followed by an immediate demand from the public that the turnip in question should enter politics and run for everything from the Mayor of Toronto to the Prime Minister of Canada. But the turnip is a humble, down-to-earth root vegetable, very modest and not used to high society. It leaves that kind of thing to the spring peas and the garlics and that stuck-up kale. After thinking it over, the turnip thinks quite slowly. It decided that although its policies might be popular, it would not be up to the dinner table conversation required in a political career, especially since some of its relatives might be appearing on the dinner plates. To the turnip's primary agenda, I should have added basic health and safety safeguards, which, as we all know, include clean air and fresh, unpolluted water, and enough of both. I might also have added some of the following excellent considerations, and I quote, investing in clean, healthy, sustainable communities. With our growing population, it is more important than ever to protect our vital resources like clean water, clean air, farmland, and green spaces. We need to grow in ways that sustain healthy lifestyles and a healthy environment. To this end, we have pledged that by 2025, the loss of wetlands in our province will be reversed. There's more in that vein, including a promise to protect the Great Lakes and to ensure safe beaches. Where did I find these admirable sentiments? In a letter from the Liberal Party of Ontario, written on July 9, 2014, in reply to an inquiry sent by Ducks Unlimited Canada about the environmental and conservation intentions of each provincial party. The Conservatives, in their answer, said nothing about wetlands or indeed the environment, but sent instead a paragraph about the famous million jobs. They ducked the question, pardon the pun. As the turnip's elderly aunts, the parsnips, used to say, no answer is an answer. To quote Hamlet, which I always like to do when discussing political rulers and sewage effluent, and look on this picture, then on this. The first Liberal picture is very nice. According to it, we shouldn't be having this meeting at all because the problem should never have arisen. But the actual on-the-ground picture here is quite different, and it occurred under those very same Liberals. Let me see if I've got this right. It seems that a certain development company wants to put 10,000 new homes, for starters, on approximately 30,000 people, plus cats and dogs, on Class 1 and 2 farmland around a rural village where there are no jobs, and to discharge the treated effluent, I love that word, effluent, which means whatever goes down the toilet, into the menacing swamp, all of which is in stark contradiction to the township's official plan. There are many red lights that should have stopped this plan at various levels. Unfortunately, many of those red lights were either ignored or bypassed through special legislation. Others will fill you in on the peculiar and dingy backstory to this caper, including the fact that some bright bunny created a special legislative loophole just for this development. I wonder why. And so does the turnip. And that there are rumors of letters being received that threaten lawsuits and tow removal should the scheme be interfered with. Note, the tow removal was a joke. So don't sue me for that. The whole process looks, to an outsider and also to the turnip, no stranger to manure, somewhat smelly. Some other questions that occurred to me and also to the turnip, a sensible vegetable, not like those rash and hasty radishes, include these. 1, where will the water for those 30,000 people come from? If from an aquifer, has anyone studied the drain on the available groundwater that this will cause for farmers, for people already living in the area? I'm told that the answer to that question is no. 2, where will the poo and domestic chemicals go? Excuse me, the effluent. We know it will go into the menacing wetland and thence to Georgian Bay, affecting, just for instance, Wasaga Beach. Yes, I know there will be a treatment plant. Wait, no, I don't know that. I assume there will be one. But what exactly will it treat and how? And has anyone looked at the effects of a large storm, the kind that these days routinely overwhelms treatment plants? Do the cottagers of Georgian Bay, many of whom live in Toronto in ridings that voted Liberal, do these cottagers fancy a dip in the human waste with little lumps of buoyant poop? Probably not. The turnip wishes it to be known that it personally has nothing against poop in the right place and the right time, such as the compost pile. For a vegetable such as itself, properly decayed poop is nourishing. But even the turnip has no wish to swim in the stuff. 3, where will the people living in this development work? The turnip can think of 2 answers. A, they won't work. Maybe it's a retirement home thing. B, somewhere else, because it won't, I'm told, be in Midhurst. And if somewhere else, how will they get back and forth to there? And who will ultimately be paying for the infrastructure, both transportation and other? And why would those people want to live so far away from where they work? Why not put the houses close to where the jobs are? Or, where did this plan come from? Why does anyone think it's good? Or, as they say of crimes and murder mysteries, cui bono? The turnip speaks a little Latin, which allows it to read seed packages. It knows that cui bono means who benefits. So, who does benefit? If we only knew that, the turnip and I would know a lot more than we do. We hope that you yourselves will press for answers. Kindly sentiments on behalf of politicians towards rural living are all very well. But as the turnip once said, fine words butter no parsnips. It immediately got a stern letter from its aunts, the parsnips, saying they had no wish to be buttered. Thank you very much. And its parent should never have sent it to agricultural college to pick up such immoral ideas. Citizens of Midhurst, and indeed of Ontario, if even a humble turnip thinks this whole affair reeks to high heaven, how much more should you? Should you not call on Premier Kathleen Wynne, citing her happy sentiments about wetland restoration? Should you not point out to her that somebody appears to have done something twisted to the approval process under the table? Why was a special loophole created just for this project? Shouldn't Premier Wynne wish to honor her promises, take this idiotic thing back a few squares in the chess game, and make it right? Yes, she should. She should prevent the destruction of menacing swampland, the pollution of Georgian Bay, the trashing of good farmland, and of the village of Midhurst. And I have faith that she will. I leave you with this happy thought. Thank you.
Margaret, you have agreed to answer a few questions.
All right.
Probing questions.
Ordinary question, yeah. Any old questions.
I have an ordinary one right here, and it is, does the future of Ontario look bright or bleak to you?
It is the best of times, it is the worst of times. I think it looks brighter for you with this project than it might have done a few weeks ago. Because I think you've got more chance with this government than you would have had with anybody else, or even in a minority. So I think you actually have a shot at this, and I'm feeling much more confident right now that you will prevail. But as you have been told, you need to get behind and push that stone up the hill. It's further up than it was, way, way further up. So you've got a crack at it. Go for it now. This is your chance.
How does the average Joe, how can the average Joe help build a brighter future for Ontario and globally?
Okay, well, that's a very big question. How does the average Joe, people, or Jill, or turnip? The turnip has no gender issues. I think what often overwhelms people is they get all this stuff coming in, and it's bad news, and it's horrible, and they just give up and they go to the movies, or these days watch it on TV or on their computer. I think what you need to do is cut out a piece out of all that, large issues that are going on out there, and take on something that you can actually handle and see yourself making a difference width. And that is why issues that may appear to be local, but are really part of a very much larger picture, but that may appear to be local and they're subject to local pressure, that is why you should take those on, because you can make progress with them and you don't just feel so depressed all the time. So that's how, get involved. Here you are all here. I've got my button on, where's yours? And get the literature, write a letter. And here's the truth about letters. If it's a form letter, it counts for maybe 1 point. If it's a typewritten letter that isn't a form letter, it counts for about 2 points. But if it's a handwritten letter, it counts for about 5 points. So write a letter. Write a letter. It shows you really care. It shows you put in the time, and send it. And where are you going to write that letter to, and who are you going to send it to? You're going to send it to Premier Kathleen Wynne. That's who. Go for it.
The question is, how did you come to care so much about the environment?
I came to care so much about the environment because I grew up with that care. My father was a biologist. He began as a forest entomologist, which is why I was growing up in northern Quebec in the woods without running water or electricity. And both my parents were early environmentalists. Back in the early days of the Sierra Club, back in the days of Rachel Carson. So that started quite early, and I have to say that I spent a certain amount of my adolescence tuning out at the dinner table. Tuning out while these problems were discussed, but they do sink in, so even if your adolescent appears to be tuning out, something's going in the air.
One last question. Where do you draw inspiration for your writing?
Where do I draw inspiration for my writing? This is because somebody out there would like to have some inspiration for their writing. I will tell you what the secret is, and this is a secret that's guaranteed to work. Try it at home. I don't often say that. Most of the things I say don't try it at home. Don't try to blow up the beavers at home. But you can try the inspiration at home. So put your right hand on the table, put your left hand in the air, and close your eyes. Stay like that. It may take a while, but sooner or later, inspiration will come.
Thank you, Margaret.